okay. It is better than the last episode. I'll give you some credit, but it is not good. It is another episode of tedious exposition dumping. But I'll give you credit. The pacing is better. So I won't go as angry and hard on you as I was on the previous episode, because this one it at least has better pacing and things do happen. You just have to get through a lot of monotonous talking to get there. But no, we're not going to do another super long review for this one either, because I've decided to start reserving that for episodes that are actually good and worth talking about. This is not good. At best, this is average. So, we're going to do the same thing we did in the last review. Overview, final thoughts, etc. And this time, no written review, just straight up off the cuff. So, welcome back to Anime Sensation. Welcome back to Attack on August, Chapter 2. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 9, aka Episode 34 of Attack on Titan, titled Opening. And this episode, not a lot happens here either, but I will give it this. It is at least paced a little better. I can at least sit through people talking without falling asleep. And it does start building to some interesting revelations that are probably going to play out in the final 3 episodes of the season. Yes, we're already towards the end of this season, and it feels like we barely even started. Like I said at the beginning, that this season is very short. So, here's the overview. This is literally everything that happens in the episode. I'll quote verbatim. While the scouts advance towards the forest of giant trees, Eren and Ymir attempt to get answers from Reiner and Bertolt. While receiving few answers, they discover that Reiner's personality has split in two under the pressure from living for 2 different goals. In other words, the 2 different teachings are constantly screwing with his head, which will probably play into his downfall towards the end of the season. At least I hope there's a downfall for him at the end of the season. While Ymir wonders about the warriors' goals and the reason for the Beast Titan's presence, Eren expresses his rage towards the traitors, as he rightfully should. The true enemy of humanity remains a mystery to Eren, though the scouts are closing in on the forest with the intent of saving him from his fate. And that's pretty much all that happens in the episode. You have Eren and Ymir up in this forest of giant trees with Reiner and Bertolt surrounded by a bunch of abnormal, uncontrollable titans that pretty much keep them from being able to have any hope of escape, at least for the time being. And there's hints that Ymir knows more about this Beast Titan than she's letting on, and we learn more about Reiner and how his mental state is continuously breaking. Like, a lot does happen in this episode. The problem is that a lot of it is just spoken rather than shown. I get it. This is based off of a book. It's based off of a manga. I get that. But there are times when you need to tell, and there are times when you need to show. This is Attack on Titan's biggest problem. I said it in the last review, and I said it all throughout my reviews in Season 1. This has a bad problem of telling more than it shows. And for most of this season, it felt like they actually started to move away from that, started to actually improve a little. Because again, shorter season, faster pacing, it's only 1 arc instead of 4 or 5 squished together. But the problem is, they are starting to go back to their old ways before this season's even over, which is sad to say the very least, because up to this point, it really felt like they improved a lot of my complaints and bitching from Season 1, but apparently they have not improved enough, because now they are just right back into the same shit, and it boggles me. It boggles me how they thought that going back to the same entire thing was going to make me actually entertained. It doesn't. It pisses me off, because once you have like a whole half of a season that is really well paced and very well done and improves a shit ton of the problems from the previous one, I'm going to be pissed if you decide to flip the other way. So, that's pretty much the episode. If you want my overall thoughts, it's okay. It's average. It's at least better than the last one because it has better pacing, but it is still a lot of talking rather than showing. And I get that this is an overall problem with anime in general as a medium, but at the same time, there are times you can do that well, and there are other times where it's just not necessary. For example, I'll give you an example of a good version of this. A good example of telling more than showing is Solo Leveling. Yes, I'm going to make this comparison, and I don't care how much shit I'm going to get for it. A good comparison is Season 1 of Solo Leveling. They do show a lot in the first few episodes, and then they talk about a bunch of other stuff through the grand majority of the rest of that season up to like the final, 4 or 5. But because it's actually good dialogue, it's deep lore building, and it fleshes out the world, I'm willing to give it some leeway, because yes, it is a lot of people talking, but they do it in a way where it still feels like it's important. Or hell, I'll give an even better example. Dragon Ball. Yes, this one also has a problem with a lot of exposition, but especially in DBZ Kai, they fixed a lot of the pacing issues and focused on just the main stuff. And once they did that, the pacing was better, it was more rewatchable, everything moved a lot faster, and everything just felt more, eventful, I guess you can say. So, when you have a show like Attack on Titan that's trying to be far more hard-edged and R-rated than both of those, and yet it still continues to make these mistakes, despite the fact that everyone already knows that these are mistakes and have probably already given them feedback about it, it just leaves you really, really confused. Or hell, My Hero Academia. That's another version of a show that does tell more than it shows. But to be credited with them, by the third or fourth season, they tossed that out the window and started showing more than telling. So, I don't know. I don't know why Attack on Titan continues to think that exposition dumping is the only way that they can actually get out all the lore building and fleshing out their world more. But it is a continuous problem, and it needs to be fixed. So, overall, final verdict of this episode is a 5 out of 10. It is average, it's okay, but it is not good. And it is, again, one of the weakest of the season. However, again, we are now up to the final 3 episodes of the season and the final 3 episodes of the Clash of the Titans arc. So, hopefully, we should start getting more showing rather than telling going forward. At least until we get to Season 3, because Season 3 decided to go right back to 20 plus per season again, which means, pacing's gotta drag like a rock. But whatever, that's a problem for 2026. So, yeah. Hopefully next episode, we'll finally get some more things actually happening. But until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you for Season 2, Episode 10, aka Episode 35, titled Children. Just please be better, and drop the exposition dumping. That's all I ask. See ya.